Ever feel like your soul shrivels when someone asks, "How's the weather?" Welcome to the Sigma Sisterhood. If you're a woman who'd rather sit in silence than suffer through mindless small talk, this video is for you. Sigma women aren't rude. They're wired differently. They crave depth, despise performative chatter, and refuse to waste energy on conversations that go nowhere. But why does small talk feel like nails on a chalkboard to them? Is it rebellion, intuition, or something deeper? Today we're breaking down exactly why Sigma women hate superficial talk, and how they turn awkward interactions into opportunities for real connection. If you're ready to embrace your unapologetically authentic self, let's dive in. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Your tribe is here. 1. It's emotionally exhausting, not just introverted. Small talk isn't just a minor annoyance for Sigma women, it's a genuine drain on their emotional and mental resources. While introversion is often linked to social fatigue, Sigma women experience this exhaustion on a deeper, more complex level. Introverts may dislike small talk because socializing in general depletes their energy, but Sigma women specifically despise it because it forces them to perform inauthenticity, a betrayal of their core values. Sigma women are wired to prioritize depth and purpose in every interaction. Their brains thrive on meaningful exchanges, conversations that challenge ideas, uncover truths, or explore passions. Small talk, by contrast, demands they engage in trivial, scripted dialogues that lack substance. Imagine being asked to run on a treadmill that goes nowhere. That's how Sigma women feel when trapped in conversations about traffic, weather, or generic "how's work" exchanges. The mental energy required to feign interest, nod politely, or recycle socially acceptable responses feels like a waste of their finite emotional bandwidth. This exhaustion isn't just about needing alone time. It's rooted in the cognitive dissonance of acting against their nature. Sigma women value authenticity above all else, so small talk forces them into a role that clashes with their identity. They must suppress their instinct to ask bold questions. What's the biggest risk you've ever taken? Or share unconventional opinions, opting instead for safe, socially approved topics. This internal conflict, masking their true selves to fit in, creates a unique form of burnout. Societal expectations amplify this strain, especially for women. Women are often pressured to be warm, approachable, and socially accommodating. Sigma women reject this performative femininity, yet they're acutely aware of the judgment they face when they refuse to play along. A Sigma woman who stays silent during a team lunch or answers, "How are you?" with blunt honesty, honestly, overwhelmed, risks being labeled cold or rude. The mental labor of navigating these double standards, either perform or be punished, adds layers to their exhaustion. Even the logistics of small talk drain them. Sigma women are hyper-observant, analyzing tone, body language, and subtext in every interaction. During small talk, they're not just listening to words, they're decoding hidden agendas, assessing sincerity, and predicting where the conversation might go. This constant analysis, paired with the boredom of predictable topics, leaves them mentally depleted. Unlike introverts who might recharge with quiet hobbies, Sigma women often redirect their energy into solitary pursuits with purpose: writing, strategizing, creating, or learning. Small talk robs them of time and focus they'd rather invest in these activities. For example, a Sigma woman might dread a networking event not because she fears people, but because she knows she'll spend hours discussing safe topics instead of brainstorming collaborations or debating industry trends with like-minded individuals. In essence, Sigma women don't just dislike small talk, they resent it as a symbol of societal superficiality. Their exhaustion is a rebellion against a world that prioritizes polite facades over raw, unfiltered truth. 2. Feels like a script, not genuine connection. For Sigma women, small talk isn't just tedious, it's a performance of pre-written lines that stifles their desire for real human connection. Scripted exchanges like "How's work" or "Crazy weather, right?" follow a predictable, socially mandated pattern. These conversations prioritize politeness over personality, forcing participants into roles rather than allowing them to exist as their true selves. Sigma women reject this artifice because it reduces interaction to a transactional ritual, devoid of the vulnerability and curiosity that define meaningful relationships. At its core, small talk is a social contract. It's designed to maintain harmony, avoid conflict, and signal niceness, especially for women who are culturally conditioned to be agreeable and approachable. But for Sigma women, adhering to this script feels like wearing a mask. They crave conversations that reveal rather than conceal, where people share passions, fears, or unconventional ideas instead of rehearsed answers. Imagine attending a play where everyone recites the same lines every night. Sigma women aren't interested in being actors or audience members in these repetitive performances. They want improv, raw, unscripted, and real. This aversion isn't about arrogance, it's about authenticity. Sigma women are hyper-aware of the disconnect between words and intentions. When someone asks, "How are you?" as a greeting rather than a genuine inquiry, they detect the emptiness behind the question. To them, it's a broken bridge to connection, a ritual that prioritizes efficiency over empathy. For example, at a networking event, a Sigma woman might be asked, "What do you do?" for the 10th time. While others default to their job title, she longs to answer, "I'm trying to build a life where my work doesn't define me," but knows that response would breach the script. The frustration of withholding her truth compounds with each superficial exchange. Societal expectations magnify this tension. Women in particular face pressure to be pleasant and nurturing, often at the expense of their authenticity. A Sigma woman who skips small talk to ask, "What's something you've never admitted to anyone?" risks being labeled intense or awkward. Yet her refusal to comply isn't rudeness. It's a rebellion against the tyranny of niceness. She'd rather sit in silence than participate in dialogues that erase her depth. The scripted nature of small talk also prevents Sigma women from assessing compatibility. Genuine connection requires glimpses into someone's values, humor, or intellect, none of which surface in discussions about weekend plans. A Sigma woman might test this by steering conversations toward unexpected topics, like asking about a stranger's favorite childhood book instead of their job. If the person lights up, a bond forms. If they seem confused, she knows the interaction has no future. This strategic approach saves time and energy, aligning with her preference for quality over quantity in relationships. Ultimately, Sigma women don't hate people, they hate pretense. Their disdain for small talk stems from a hunger for interactions where masks drop, vulnerabilities surface, and conversations become collisions of minds, not just exchanges of words. In a world obsessed with surfaces, their refusal to perform is both a protest and a plea. Let's stop acting and start existing. 3. Wastes time that could be spent on depth. Sigma women view time as a non-renewable resource. Every minute spent on trivial chatter is a minute stolen from pursuits that matter. Small talk isn't just boring, it's a barrier to the intellectual and emotional depth they crave. While society frames superficial exchanges as polite or necessary, Sigma women reject this narrative. To them, life is too short to discuss traffic jams or viral TikTok trends when they could be dissecting philosophy, sharing transformative experiences, or brainstorming ideas that change their lives. This aversion stems from their innate drive for efficiency and purpose. Sigma women are often strategists, creatives, or visionaries, people who think in terms of legacy, growth, and impact. A conversation about the weather does nothing to advance their goals or challenge their minds. For example, imagine a Sigma woman at a family gathering. While others gossip about neighbors or debate reality TV, she's itching to ask, "What's one thing you've learned about yourself this year?" Or, "If you could solve one global problem, what would it be?" Small talk forces her to mute these questions, trading potential breakthroughs for bland compliance. The frustration isn't just about lost time, it's about missed opportunities. Sigma women believe every interaction holds the potential to spark inspiration, foster collaboration, or reveal hidden truths. A stranger's casual remark about loving astronomy could lead to a conversation about existentialism. A coworker's offhand joke about burnout might uncover shared struggles with societal pressures. But small talk keeps these doors closed, favoring safety over exploration. Societal norms exacerbate this tension. Women especially are expected to prioritize others' comfort over their own needs. A Sigma woman who skips the "how's your day" to ask, "what's a fear you're trying to overcome?" risks being called too intense. Yet her refusal to conform isn't selfish. It's a rebellion against a culture that equates surface-level chatter with kindness. She knows real connection requires courage, not scripted niceties. Sigma women also use this disdain for small talk as a filter. By avoiding trivial exchanges, they quickly identify who's worth investing in. If someone lights up when asked, "What's a project you're secretly proud of?" instead of recoiling, that person becomes a candidate for deeper connection. This selectivity ensures their energy is reserved for people who match their wavelength, those who value substance over spectacle. In essence, Sigma women don't hate conversation. They hate conversation that goes nowhere. Their time is reserved for dialogues that challenge, heal, or inspire. Small talk isn't just wasted minutes. It's a symbol of a society that prioritizes comfort over growth. 4. Reveals nothing about character. For Sigma women, small talk isn't just unproductive, it's misleading. Superficial exchanges mask true intentions, making it impossible to discern who someone really is. They know charm and charisma in casual banter, often hide inconsistency, selfishness, or deceit. Sigma women trust actions, not words, and small talk offers no window into a person's integrity, values, or reliability. This skepticism stems from their razor-sharp intuition. Sigma women are natural observers, analyzing tone, body language, and patterns to assess character. A coworker who gushes about teamwork during lunch but hoards credit on projects? A date who claims to love deep conversations but panics when asked about their insecurities? Sigma women spot these contradictions instantly. Small talk becomes a red flag when words and actions misalign. For example, someone might excel at networking events, joking about golf, praising the appetizers, but vanish when a friend needs support. Sigma women dismiss these performers, seeking those whose authenticity transcends polite scripts. Societal norms further complicate this. Women are often judged for being guarded or cold if they don't engage in cheerful small talk. But Sigma women reject the idea that friendliness equals trustworthiness. They've learned the hard way that someone who asks, "How's your family?" might not care about the answer. They're just ticking a social box. To a Sigma, silence is safer than illusion. Instead, they prioritize action audits. Did this person follow through on their promises? Do they treat service staff with respect? How do they handle conflict? These behaviors matter far more than polished elevator pitches. A Sigma woman might test someone by sharing an unconventional opinion, e.g., "I think hustle culture is toxic," to see if they engage thoughtfully or retreat into platitudes. In professional settings, this scrutiny intensifies. Small talk in meetings, "How was your weekend?" reveals nothing about leadership skills or work ethic. Sigma women prefer to assess colleagues through crises. Who stays calm under pressure? Who blames others? Who innovates? They'd rather skip the coffee chit-chat and observe how someone handles a missed deadline or ethical dilemma. Ultimately, Sigma women don't avoid small talk because they're antisocial. They avoid it because they're forensic analysts of character. They know true nature reveals itself in actions, not rehearsed banter. By rejecting superficiality, they protect themselves from wolves in sheep's clothing and gravitate toward those who are real, raw, and reliable. 5. Triggers their disdain for social obligations. Sigma women don't just dislike small talk. They resent it as a symbol of forced conformity. Society imposes invisible rules on how women should behave. Smile often, laugh politely, and nurture harmony at all costs. Small talk is a tool to enforce these norms, pressuring women to shrink their intensity and cater to others' comfort. For Sigma women, this expectation feels like a cage. They refuse to perform niceness just to make others feel at ease. especially when it means silencing their curiosity, wit, or desire for depth. This rebellion isn't arbitrary. Sigma women recognize that small talk often serves as a gatekeeper for belonging. In workplaces, family gatherings, or social circles, those who excel at superficial banter gain social capital, while those who opt out risk alienation. For example, a Sigma woman at a holiday party might avoid circling the room with platitudes, "Love your dress," and instead linger in a corner, debating climate change with the one person willing to engage. Her choice isn't antisocial, it's a rejection of transactional rapport building. She'd rather be labeled aloof than sacrifice her authenticity for approval. The gendered dimension of this pressure intensifies the disdain. Women are culturally conditioned to be approachable, often bearing the emotional labor of keeping conversations light and conflict-free. A Sigma woman who skips the script, answering "How are you?" with preoccupied with existential dread but thanks for asking, disrupts this dynamic. She resents being tasked with soothing others' discomfort or upholding fragile social ecosystems. Her silence or bluntness is a quiet revolution, rejecting the idea that women owe the world perpetual warmth. This defiance extends to relationships. Sigma women avoid partners or friends who prioritize small talk as a bonding mechanism. They see through people who use "How was your day?" as a placeholder for genuine care. Instead, they gravitate toward those who ask, "What's something you're wrestling with right now?" Questions that skip the script and prioritize growth over gossip. At its core, Sigma women's disdain for social obligations is about autonomy. They won't trade their energy, time, or truth for the illusion of belonging. Small talk isn't just boring. It's a microcosm of the systems that demand women shrink, perform, and comply. Sigma women opt out, not out of spite, but to preserve their right to exist unedited. 6. Feels like a power imbalance. Small talk isn't neutral, it's a social currency that reinforces hierarchies. In many settings, boardrooms, parties, family dinners, those who dominate conversations with charismatic banter often wield influence while quiet observers are sidelined. Sigma women detest this dynamic. They see small talk as a game where extroverts, alphas, or narcissists thrive, and they refuse to play by rules that prioritize volume over substance. Sigma women are natural anarchists in social ecosystems. They don't seek dominance or submission. They crave equality and dialogue. Small talk, however, often centers on whoever speaks loudest or most charmingly, leaving little room for introspection or depth. For example, at a networking event, a Sigma woman might watch a colleague charm investors with golf stories and vacation anecdotes while she stands back, thinking, none of this reveals whether they're ethical or competent. Her quiet critique isn't jealousy. It's a rejection of systems that reward superficiality over integrity. This power imbalance is especially grating for women, who are often expected to bolster others' egos through active listening and cheerful engagement. A Sigma woman at a dinner party might resist laughing at a mediocre joke or feigning interest in a mansplainer's monologue. Her silence isn't passive, it's a strategic withdrawal from a rigged game. She knows her worth isn't tied to her ability to entertain or flatter. In romantic relationships, this dynamic plays out painfully. Sigma women often attract partners who mistake their quiet intensity for passivity, only to be stunned when they challenge lies, hypocrisy, or empty promises. A Sigma woman might endure weeks of "How was your day?" texts before finally asking, "Why do we never talk about what scares you?" A question that exposes the relationship's shallow foundation. Sigma women level the playing field by redefining value. They give attention only to those who respect their boundaries, engage earnestly, and match their intellectual depth. In meetings, they might redirect frivolous chatter with, "Let's focus on solutions." In friendships, they replace gossip with debates about philosophy or shared creative projects. Their goal isn't to control conversations, but to dissolve hierarchies that equate loudness with leadership. By rejecting small talk, Sigma women dismantle the idea that social power belongs to those who talk the most, and reclaim it for those who think, feel, and act with purpose. 7. Avoids vulnerability traps. Sigma women guard their inner worlds like fortresses, and small talk often feels like a Trojan horse, innocent on the surface but loaded with risks. Questions like, are you seeing anyone or do you want kids? Masquerade as casual curiosity, but to a Sigma, they're invasive probes into deeply personal territory. Small talk normalizes these intrusions, pressuring women to disclose private details under the guise of friendliness. Sigma women reject this, recognizing that vulnerability should be earned, not extracted through social obligation. This defensiveness isn't paranoia, it's strategic. Sigma women know that oversharing in trivial contexts leaves them exposed to judgment, unsolicited advice, or manipulation. For example, revealing they're single at a party might trigger pity, "You'll find someone," or intrusive matchmaking attempts. Instead, they deflect with humor, "I'm dating my existential crises," or pivot to neutral topics. Small talk becomes a minefield where one wrong answer could invite unwanted scrutiny. Societal norms amplify this tension. Women are expected to be open, nurturing, and emotionally available, traits that clash with the Sigma's need for autonomy. A Sigma woman who answers, "What's new with you?" with, "I'd rather not say," risks being called secretive or cold. But she's not hiding shame. She's protecting her energy. Sigma women view vulnerability as sacred, reserved for those who've proven trustworthy through actions, not just words. This boundary extends to digital spaces. A Sigma might dread group chats filled with "good morning," GIFs, and emoji-laden small talk. To her, these exchanges are performative, demanding constant engagement without fostering real connection. She'll mute notifications rather than fake enthusiasm, preserving her peace for meaningful one-on-one conversations. In relationships, this guardedness is often misunderstood. Partners might accuse Sigma women of being closed off because they skip small talk and avoid trivial updates. "My coffee was cold today, ugh." But Sigma women prioritize quality over quantity. They'd rather share a vulnerable confession at 2 a.m. "I'm terrified of failing," than dissect daily minutiae. Their silence isn't a lack of trust. It's a refusal to dilute their truth in shallow chatter. By avoiding vulnerability traps, Sigma women reclaim power over their narratives. They decide who gets access to their fears, dreams, and flaws, not societal scripts or nosy strangers. 8. Repetitive and predictable. Bores them. Sigma women have brains built for novelty. They crave intellectual challenge, creative sparks, and conversations that zig when others zag. Small talk, with its stale scripts and recycled topics, feels like mental quicksand, suffocatingly repetitive and devoid of stimulation. Questions like, "Where are you from?" or "What do you do?" trigger déjà vu, making them wonder, haven't we all answered this 1,000 times before? This boredom isn't trivial. Sigma women are often polymaths, people with diverse interests and a hunger to learn. A conversation about vacation destinations could easily pivot to climate change's impact on tourism, but small talk clings to the surface. The beach was gorgeous. For example, at a dinner party, a Sigma woman might zone out as others debate the best pizza toppings, waiting for someone to mention the documentary they just watched on astrophysics. If no one does, she'll retreat inward, scripting story ideas or analyzing the room's dynamics to stay engaged. The monotony of small talk also clashes with their problem-solving instincts. Sigma women are wired to fix, innovate, or deconstruct, not to nod along as someone recounts their commute. They'd rather troubleshoot existential dilemmas. How do we balance ambition and contentment? Or brainstorm ways to hack mundane systems. Could AI eliminate boring meetings? Small talk's lack of stakes or purpose leaves them mentally undernourished. Societal conditioning worsens this. Women are often expected to be patient listeners, smiling through tedious stories to avoid seeming rude. Sigma women reject this role. They'll interrupt a rambling small talker with, "Let's cut to the chase. What's your real point?" Or redirect with a provocative question, "What's a lie you used to believe about yourself?" These tactics aren't meant to offend. their survival strategies to escape conversations that deaden their minds. Even in relationships, Sigma women avoid routines that breed stagnation. A partner who defaults to, "How was your day?" every night will find her responding with increasing brevity until she finally says, "Ask me something that matters." She craves debates, shared obsessions, and what-if scenarios, anything that breaks the cycle of predictability. In a world addicted to small talk, Sigma women are intellectual rebels. Their boredom is a compass, steering them toward people and ideas that ignite curiosity, not lull them into complacency. 9. Misinterprets their silence as rudeness. Sigma women's silence in small talk isn't a void. It's a loaded statement. In a world where women are conditioned to fill space with warmth, laughter, or reassurance, their quietness disrupts the script. Society equates female silence with passivity, shyness, or even hostility, but for Sigma women, it's a deliberate act of boundary setting. They refuse to perform the emotional labor of keeping conversations afloat simply to ease others' discomfort. This misinterpretation stems from gendered stereotypes. Women are expected to be communal caretakers, smiling through discomfort, laughing at unfunny jokes, and nodding to signal, "I'm listening." When a Sigma woman sits quietly during a team lunch or answers, "How are you?" with a terse, "Fine," she violates these norms. Coworkers might whisper that she's standoffish. Relatives might label her too serious. But her silence isn't a deficiency. It's a rejection of compulsory sociability. She knows her worth isn't tied to her ability to entertain or appease. Sigma women use silence as both a shield and a sieve. In group settings, they often hang back, observing dynamics before engaging. For example, at a party, while others exchange job titles and weekend plans, she's analyzing who speaks over others, who listens intently, and who hides behind humor. Her quietness isn't disinterest, it's strategic curation, saving her energy for those who spark her curiosity. Yet this discernment is misread as aloofness, especially in cultures that conflate extroversion with competence. The Sigma's silence also exposes societal hypocrisy. A man who speaks sparingly is called thoughtful or mysterious. A woman doing the same is cold or unapproachable. Sigma women resent this double standard but refuse to contort themselves to fit it. Their silence becomes a protest against the demand that women shrink their intensity to make others comfortable. In relationships, this dynamic breeds friction. A partner might accuse her of not sharing enough when she skips small talk about her day. But her reticence isn't a lack of trust. It's a hierarchy of relevance. She'll share vulnerably about her fears or dreams but won't waste words on trivial updates. To her, silence isn't emptiness. It's the space where authenticity grows. By enduring misinterpretation, Sigma women reclaim silence as power. They refuse to apologize for protecting their energy, proving that sometimes the loudest statements are the ones left unspoken. 10. Prioritizes autonomy over social validation. Sigma women measure their worth internally, not through likes, followers, or applause. Small talk, a tool for social validation, holds no appeal because they've severed the link between external approval and self-esteem. While others chase belonging through cheerful banter, Sigma women prioritize self-possession, even if it means standing alone. This autonomy is rooted in self-awareness. Sigma women know conformity comes at a cost, suppressing opinions, dulling edges, and trading depth for likability. A coworker might urge her to lighten up during coffee breaks, but she'd rather sketch business ideas in her notebook than laugh at office gossip. Her isolation isn't loneliness, it's sovereignty. She rejects the notion that camaraderie requires compromising her truth. Societal pressures amplify this struggle. Women are socialized to seek safety in numbers, often bonding over shared complaints. "Ugh, Mondays, right?" Or superficial praise. "Love your shoes." Sigma women find these exchanges hollow. At a baby shower, while others gush over nursery themes, she might ask the mother to be, "What's a lesson you hope to teach your child?" A question that skips platitudes and taps into purpose. If met with awkward laughter, she'll retreat, unbothered by the judgment. This prioritization of autonomy reshapes their relationships. Sigma women attract fewer but fiercer connections. Friendships are built on mutual growth, not convenience. A Sigma might ghost a chatty acquaintance who only discusses reality TV but spend hours consoling a friend through an existential crisis. She's not antisocial, she's allergic to transactional bonds. In professional settings, this ethos intimidates. A Sigma woman might skip networking happy hours, knowing the chatter won't advance her goals. Instead, she'll email thought leaders directly with bold proposals, a move colleagues call aggressive, but she calls efficient. Her career isn't a popularity contest, it's a pursuit of legacy. Ultimately, Sigma women's rejection of social validation is a radical act of self-trust. They don't fear solitude, they fear forgetting who they are. By choosing autonomy, they become architects of their lives, building on their terms, brick by silent brick. Let's be clear, hating small talk doesn't make Sigma women broken. It makes them architects of a deeper reality. In a world that equates chatter with connection and niceness with worth, your refusal to perform is revolutionary. You're not here to be palatable. You're here to think fiercely, love selectively, and exist unapologetically. Yes, you'll be misunderstood, called cold for protecting your energy, intense for craving substance, rude for rejecting scripts. But those labels say more about others' fear of depth than your flaws. Sigma women don't chase belonging. They build it brick by brick with those rare souls who value raw truth over pretty lies. So let the small talkers cling to their surfaces. You'll be in the shadows, forging bonds that outlast trends, ideas that shatter norms, and a life that's entirely your own. Stay silent when you want. Speak boldly when you must. And remember, your tribe isn't just coming. It's already here. If this resonated, smash subscribe. The Sigma Sisterhood isn't a phase, it's a movement. And you're leading it.